Hi, Dennis.
Hi, who am I speaking to?
This is Ronak.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining. I'm going to mute
Thank
you
you.
again, and then you can jump in at your leisure. All right, well, thank you for joining me today. I got some regrets from people, particularly in Northern California, up in the Eureka area, where they have their power shut off due to the fire danger. So we're going to record this, of course, and then they'll be able to watch it at a later date. But you delightful people, this is ideally a conversation, so please do feel free to jump in and ask questions or give some of your insights as we run through the Successful Club Series mentoring presentation. I love the quote that they try to have me start off with. Sophocles, in his Greek tragedy Antigone, said, "The ideal condition would be, I admit, that men should be right by instinct, but since we are all likely to go astray, the reasonable thing to do is learn from those who can teach." That's not the best quote I've ever heard of. But it is reasonable that if we want to learn something new, the idea is to go find somebody who already does it well and try to copy them, have them share their knowledge with us. Mentoring is so important in Toastmasters. I can't stress this enough. When you look at the largest clubs that have the most robust membership, that have got people clamoring to jump into leadership roles, the one thing they all have in common is not just a strong vice president of education, but a strong mentoring network where the members are helping one another. If you've ever heard of the Star Search Club, or maybe you're a member, I don't know for sure, Star Search has 50 members. They're able to keep everybody happy, motivated, and moving through the educational program because one-on-one, they have every single member tied in with a buddy who is constantly cheering them on, helping them out, and if they happen to miss a meeting, their buddy will call and say, hey, where you been? We miss you. Come on back. And that's what mentoring is all about. It's not about really some superior person who helps a newbie, a fledgling, an infant coming into the organization. It's two people with varied skill sets who are working together to be sure that both of them are able to succeed. Oh, come on. There we go. So what is a mentor? A mentor is somebody who takes a personal interest in another member and helps them in a variety of ways. He serves as a role model for that person. So it's not just that you're going to tell another member all the great things that they should be doing in Toastmasters. You actually do those things so that the person you're dealing with is able to observe, see how it's working for you, see the progress that you've already made, and then that person is able to emulate their mentor and achieve the same level of confidence, the same level of skill that the mentor already displays. You're a coach rather than a teacher. It's not so much that you're in a role where you're dictating what someone else should do. You give them some ideas, give them some tips, give your feedback on what you see and what things have worked for you in the past. Give them a chance to try it out for themselves and maybe find their own way. You offer the knowledge that you have, any insights you've gained through Toastmasters over the years. You give your unique perspective, and you're respectful of the perspective of the mentee as well. Wisdom, well, we hope that we have wisdom, but if we don't have it as we're giving it out, we will gain wisdom as we work with our mentee. The idea is to help that person be successful in Toastmasters. The only way that a mentor is going to succeed is if the mentee actually achieves their goals. There's no way a mentor can say, I was a great mentor, I did everything right. It was the stupid mentee who just couldn't get anything going, right? So what does a mentor do? The first thing they do is help a new member ease the transition from a non-Toastmaster to become part of the Toastmasters program. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure, especially now that we're transitioning into pathways, you have to be sure that the mentee coming in knows exactly how to sign up for a path. Once they are enrolled in a path, know how to find their lessons, know how to print out their evaluation forms, know how to sign up for speeches so that they can get onto the schedule. So it's one thing, too, to learn the Toastmasters program in general and learn about the organization. It's another thing to get comfortable with the unique personality of the club that they're joining. So any club is going to have its own quirks. Sometimes you have the general evaluator run the second half of the meeting. Sometimes it's the Toastmaster who runs it all the way through. Some clubs are will have an extended meeting. They'll have a very long table topics session. Some clubs have 3 speakers per meeting. So you want to be sure that new members coming in, even if they're experienced Toastmasters, understand the way your club runs things. As you're working with them, they should become more comfortable rather quickly, because you're not just explaining the educational goals and how to give speeches, you're also helping them understand Toastmasters as an insider. You explain to them why we clap so much. You explain to them why we shake hands at the front of the room, so they start to feel like an insider. And over time, that makes them feel like part of the organization, part of the family. It makes them more comfortable in meetings. That way, they're going to participate more often and be more comfortable when they take on a role like the timer or the counter as they first get started with the program. They're going to also develop their speaking skills more quickly if they understand how to get signed up in the program, understand how to get onto the calendar, and you're working with the Vice President of Education to be sure that the mentee, as they come in, gets that icebreaker done within 2 or 3 meetings. We don't wait 6 months for the mentee to do their icebreaker. We want them up there on the horse and riding as soon as possible so that they feel that they're going to make progress in the program. Now, if you have a more experienced member, you can also set up a mentor-mentee relationship. Sometimes a more advanced member might want to work on particular skills, like their ability to inject humor into their speeches. Maybe they need to work on their gestures. So you can take someone who's really talented with gestures, pair them up with an experienced member, and let them work together for a while to help that person refine their skills. Or maybe they need to learn new skills entirely. Perhaps they need to learn more about writing speeches, more how to organize them in an effective way. And you can pair people based on their complementary skills rather than the length of time they've been in Toastmasters. Now, a lot of times we think in terms of the mentor handing down wisdom to a mentee, but I guarantee you the mentor-mentee relationship is a two-way street. Mentors can learn just as much from the mentees coming in as vice versa. Nobody joins Toastmasters as a toddler. Everybody who comes to the organization has got their own work experience, their own speaking skills, their own natural talents that they can bring. And a wise mentor is going to listen to their mentee, consider their ideas, and learn from their different perspective. I like to tell the story of my dog, Bridget. When she was about 10 years old, my parents were worried that she was going to die one of these days and we'd be left without a dog in the family. So they went out and they found a puppy for us. And as soon as we brought the puppy home, our older dog started to perk up. She figured that she had to teach this puppy the right place to poop and how to eat properly and which mailman to bark at and which one to wait for a treat. So this old dog that we were afraid was going to pass away lived another 4 years because we had the new puppy in the house. Now, a lot of Toastmasters clubs have got old dogs in the club who are just sort of cruising. They show up every week. They're friendly. They might give a speech now and again, but they're not actually working the educational program. All they're doing is showing up, being nice, and doing an occasional table topic. Well, if you pair that sort of member with a newbie coming in, not only does it help the new member, the older member gets re-engaged with the educational program. They have to. They would have to engage with Pathways in order to show the new person how to use the Pathways program. So it's not just a way to get the new people going, it's a great way to get longtime members engaged and active again in your club meetings. That way they remain productive. They have an opportunity to help others, which is nice. One of the things that's most rewarding in life, when you get right down to it, it isn't having fancy cars or going on vacations. It's doing something good in the world, doing something that you know is helpful to other people. And we can do that every day in Toastmasters. Toastmasters changes lives. And of course, if they take that mentee, make them comfortable, make them successful in the program, after a year or so, it's going to be very obvious that that mentor has done a remarkable thing. They've received recognition for being a mentor to that one mentee, but then they should go on to mentor others. Now, the club benefits when you've got mentors, mostly because people coming in are going to be more likely to join the club and feel that they're going to achieve a level of success if you assign them a mentor right away. But not only are they going to, you're not just going to attract more members, the members that you have are going to be happier, they're going to attend more often, and they're going to achieve their educational goals because someone else is paying attention, cheering them on, being sure that they have the resources they need to succeed. You'll also have better member retention at that point. One of the big misnomers that we have in Toastmasters, people are always talking about getting over your fear of public speaking. You come to Toastmasters, we'll get you past that fear. Well, we get you past that fear, the first speech. It's called the icebreaker. If you succeed in performing an icebreaker speech, you have conquered your fear of public speaking at that point. A lot of people then do 2 or 3 speeches, but they say, oh, I'm not afraid to speak in public anymore. I guess I've already graduated Toastmasters. I don't need to come any longer. And what we want instead is to have a mentor who shows the person not just, we're going to get you started with public speaking, but you're going to have the opportunity to grow your skills week after week after week and get better and better. And you've heard me say it before, if you get out of Toastmasters all you can get out of Toastmasters, you never get out of Toastmasters. That's why I'm still a Toastmaster after 12 years. I've done the Competent Communication Manual 7 times. I'm about to earn my 2nd DTM. Why do I feel I still have to come to Toastmasters? To continually improve my public speaking and leadership skills. And I will probably be doing this until they stick me in a box and stick me in the ground. Now, what are the qualities of a good mentor? First of all, they're accessible, they're available, their mentee can get a hold of them. So you're available by phone, by email, and you set aside at least 15 minutes a week so that the mentor has a time to work with the mentee on a regular schedule or at an ad hoc basis. Maybe it's just before the meeting, just after, but you get with the mentee on a weekly basis to be sure that you're tracking their progress and helping them along. You have to be patient with your mentee because not everybody is going to learn at the same pace. I talk about some people are hares and some people are tortoises. Now, in my case, I was a hare. I just took every possible opportunity to speak. Some people go more slowly, and as long as they're speaking on a regular basis and they plan out how frequently they want to come and speak, how often they're going to come to meetings and accept roles, you can be patient with their progress. What you don't want to do is let them make excuses for months and months and never actually get up there and speak. That's where you as a coach are going to nudge them to step out of their comfort zone. Every bit of progress we know comes from getting outside of our comfort zone. You have to be sensitive to their particular needs. If you recognize that you're pushing them too quickly, then you're going to have to back off a little bit. If you sense that something you're doing is giving them anxiety, then you want to be sure that you're listening carefully and adjusting what you have to say so that you're saying it in a way that your mentee can understand. You have to respect your mentee. It's, again, one of these situations where you think that a mentor is superior and so can sort of dictate or be very didactic in training the mentee. But remember, again, nobody comes into the organization as an infant. So they have their own skills, their own competencies. You have to respect their skills if you expect them to respect your advice as well. You have to be flexible with people. I know that I'm working with a mentee right now, and I thought I had a great idea that I would record his speech for him so he could hear a native English speaker do his speech and he could copy the inflections. But actually writing the speech was where he had the most trouble. And so I had to adjust what I was trying to do with him. Even though I had this wonderful idea and I still want to try it out, it's not the right idea for this particular mentee at this particular time. So we're going to try something that makes him more comfortable. You always have to support them, whatever they do. It doesn't mean that you have to support bad behavior or say it's fine that you missed 3 meetings in a row, but you want to encourage them to come back. So you choose your words carefully so that they know that even if they may have disappointed you in some way, that you're still on their team and you want them to succeed. You need to be knowledgeable. And this is similar to when I was ESL tutor in college. I needed to help people for whom English was not their first language to learn English, to learn English grammar. Well, that meant that I would have to really study the English grammar lesson that we were going to attempt the following week so that when I tried to help them, I was rock solid on it. There was nothing that helped me learn my grammar better than trying to teach it to others. Anybody who's going to mentor someone in Toastmasters needs to understand the complete educational program from start to finish, how you go from your icebreaker to your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. How do you get through all the levels of pathways? How do you complete 2 paths and then do your Distinguished Toastmaster project? You also need to know about the organization in general, the way we're divided into areas, divisions, districts, into regions, and then the international organization, and all of the different officer roles that are involved at every level of the organization, so that you can help people understand that there's something bigger than the 4 walls of their club. You have to exude confidence and show them that it's not just that you're not just giving your own opinions, that you're actually basing this on your solid knowledge, that you know that the program works and you can demonstrate it because it's worked for you. You'll have to listen to what the mentor is, what the mentee has to say, because as the Dalai Lama says, if you tell somebody something, all you're doing is repeating what you already know. If you listen, that's when you might actually learn something. And one of the things you'll learn is how you can be a more effective mentor to this particular mentee. You have to have genuine concern for others' feelings, for others' success. You have to have empathy for other people, sympathy for them, and you have to be there on their team, wishing that they're going to succeed because their success is your success as well. Now, these are the steps that you go through as you indoctrinate a mentee into the club. that first meeting, you want to sit with the new member. And I actually, it's not just when somebody is new, but the first time they take a role, very often I'll assign a shadow member to sit with the person the first time they're the timer. So we take an experienced member. Not only is the shadow there to help the member with their first time as the timer, if it happens that the mentee is unable to attend that meeting, then you've already got somebody who's ready to take over the role. But you want somebody to sit with them and make sure that the mentee is successful with any role that they take on. So if they're the counter, you can go over the role with them just before the meeting. If you find that they're not catching things during the meeting, you can point out there was a filler word, there was a filler word, very gently, until they get the hang of it. Help them with their final report. You want to make sure that they understand the club customs and procedures. Again, we talked about this earlier, where I belong to 3 different clubs, and we have slightly different ways of doing every single thing. And you don't want someone to get up there the first time they're the Toastmaster and feel like they're a bumbling idiot because they forgot that you do table topics first instead of speeches first in this particular club. So you're there to be sure that they feel comfortable, that they feel successful, even if they make minor mistakes. Every club has a different way for signing up to give speeches. Some clubs are using Easy Speak. I think it's a fantastic tool. The only drawback with Easy Speak is every single member has to take responsibility for going in there and signing up for speeches properly. If you don't use Easy Speak or a tool like that, maybe you have an online Google Sheet that is shared with the club and people can go in and edit it. Or maybe the Vice President of Education takes care of all sign-ups and takes people's requests, puts them into a schedule, and puts it out for everyone to see. There are many ways of doing this, but the key thing is to be sure that a new mentee coming into the club knows exactly how to get on the roster and knows how often they should be there so that they have a chance to advance in the program. You want to help them with the icebreaker, and not only that, I'm not certain of how this is going to be credited in the future. I know in the past, you needed to help a member with their first 3 speeches in order to achieve your Advanced Communicator Gold Award. So by helping them with the icebreaker and then helping them with the next 2 speeches, it doesn't matter if you're currently at Advanced Communicator Bronze or Advanced Communicator Silver. When it comes time to turn in your Advanced Communicator Gold, anything you've done in the past is going to apply to that. So I'm going to apply for my second Advanced Communicator Gold. I did a youth leadership program in 2010. That still counts as my toward my Advanced Communicator Gold Award. So I strongly encourage people to help somebody with their first 3 speeches. I'm sure at some point in the Pathways program, that's going to be one of the requirements. And if you've already done it, then you can apply it at that time. Now, the next time you meet, you want to be sure that they're aware of all the resources available. Take some time, if you have the opportunity, to actually go up to the Toastmasters website with the mentee and show them all of the additional educational materials that are up there. You can show them the stuff that's available in Toastmasters Magazine online. You can encourage them to contact Toastmasters International if they have a question. I typically write them an email about once a month asking for clarification on rules. You constantly want to give them positive feedback about everything that they're doing well. If there is something they could do even better, then you express that in as constructive a way as possible. But anybody who's showing up to a Toastmasters meeting and is actively participating is going to advance in the program, and you want to be sure that you recognize that on a regular basis. You want to explain the responsibilities for each of the functionary roles that they'll have in the meeting. I belong to one particular club, San Jose Toastmasters, which I think does a fantastic job. They have one sheet of explanation for every role in the meeting. So the timer has got a one-page explanation. The general evaluator has got a one-page explanation of the duties and how it's done. When we send out the weekly schedule for who's going to do what role for each individual functionary, we include that one page along with it. And that way they're continually reminded of what the responsibilities are. And they can always look them up online as well if they're just interested. You want everybody to know what they're doing and feel comfortable as they come in so that they can succeed and have other people recognize that. And of course, you want to help them with their speeches on an ongoing basis. You have to adjust this for each individual mentee, though. Some of them will be pretty self-sufficient, and you'll just perhaps take a look at their speech before they go or help them to generate ideas. Others will actually require some help with rewriting their speeches. I always say great speakers are great writers are great editors. So it's not just getting that first draft, but helping them to refine it. And then you might have them come in and give the speech just for you on 2 or 3 occasions before they go into the club and give the speech there, just to give them a little extra confidence, a little extra feedback. Over time, you want to share the way that Toastmasters has benefited you. You want to invite the mentee to events outside of Toastmasters. All of the fun in Toastmasters really begins once you get outside the 4 walls of the club. You have to attend speech contests, conferences, get outside and meet other Toastmasters with a different perspective, a different point of view. The real learning and leadership experiences that are available at the area and division level, at the district level. Anything you can do with just the members of your club really pales in comparison to what you can learn from the greater organization. As they progress, you want to acknowledge it, not only by giving them great feedback individually, but by posting a progress board where everyone can see, whether it's online on a spreadsheet or one of the charts where you can check off as people are progressing, and tell them how you recognize that while they may have had some trouble with eye contact early on, their eye contact is continually improving, their use of filler words is going down, and you see it in their everyday progress. Someone at some point has to explain what the different officers do in the club. Now, ideally, your club officers are going to spend some time talking about what they do. They're going to talk about what happens at the executive committee meetings. One of the key reasons to explain what officers do is to get people interested in becoming officers. You don't want to wait until May to start saying, hey, does anybody want to be the president of the club? No, you want to be sure that people are aware they have the opportunity to become an officer, know what the officer's duties are, and be sure that they know how to throw their head in for the election. A lot of people don't understand the purpose of speech contests in Toastmasters. The truth is, Toastmasters International doesn't really care about speech contests. Speech contests don't really do much to develop individual leadership and communication skills for club members in general. They don't start new clubs. They don't bring in new members. But our members really enjoy speech contests. And so you need to know when the speech contests are going to happen, how you get involved in the club speech contest. If you win, you have to know how to get to the area contest, know that you'll progress in the humorous contest, for example, you'll progress to the area, the division, and finally the district level. For the international speech contest, you'll win in the club, the area, the division, the district, then you go on to semifinals, and finally you have to have a second speech to win the international speech contest. So explaining how the contests work, what the process is going to give them an opportunity to jump in if that's what interests them most. And you never know, this person that you brought in who just did their icebreaker may be the next world champion of public speaking for Toastmasters. Always assume that that's a possibility. And as I've done a couple of times in a couple of ways already, you want to describe the way the organization is put together, talk about the world headquarters in Colorado. You want to talk about the fact that we have 16,800 clubs in 143 countries with well over 350,000 members. So we're not just 20 people in the back of a Denny's. We are an international organization, a force. And anytime you travel to a major city anywhere in the world, you have the opportunity to drop in and visit a Toastmasters club. Now, mentees, on the other hand, they've got their responsibilities as well. The first thing, they should be in the club to work on their communications and leadership skills. Most people join because they want to become better public speakers, and we understand that. I personally was surprised when I joined the club and ended up in district leadership. That wasn't my idea at all. I just frankly wanted to be in speech contests. The reason I became an area director was that I tried to get into the speech contest and couldn't find the information about it, and thought that somebody should do a better job as an area director in order to bring people in. It turned out I didn't get to be the area director. I was immediately elected the division director and skipped ahead to the club quality director the following year and the district director my third year. So I was in this whirlwind, meteoric rise in Toastmasters, something that I never expected, but I was given the opportunity because some of my mentors early on, such as Ashley Harkness, the past district governor, Ashley is the one who got me interested and involved with the greater organization. And I certainly have benefited. I hope that I've helped other people on the way. Mentees should be ready to close their mouths and open their ears and listen to what they have to what the mentor has to say. So I know that I talked earlier about how the mentor has to listen as well, but really the mentee should be the one who's ready to accept whatever information they're given. And they should be open to trying new ideas. A lot of times people come into the organization and they actually think that they have some great ideas they're going to redo Toastmasters International. I had a fantastic idea when I was a fairly new member. I thought that it would be great, instead of breaking the officers out into separate rooms and teaching them about their individual roles, now and again we should bring everybody together, teach them about all the roles, all at one time. That was my brand new idea that I introduced to the makeup training. Then I found out that what I was doing was actually called traditional Toastmasters training. That's the way it had been done for years prior, until we broke them out into separate rooms in the TLI. So it's great to to think that you have all the answers and have all these new ideas as you come into the organization, but it may turn out that your brand new ideas are actually old hat, or they've been tried in Toastmasters before and they haven't worked for various reasons. So as a new member, you have to be open to the way things are done in Toastmasters, and you have to be willing to try things that are different from the way you might have done them natively. You need to be loyal in that you never want to, as a mentee, give away confidences that are shared with you by the mentor. Maybe they will tell you some things about the organization in a trying to be completely open and trying to explain things as thoroughly as possible. They may say something unflattering about a particular member or a particular club, and you wouldn't want to expose that person to embarrassment by sharing information that they shared in confidence. you should be grateful as a mentee for someone taking the time. This is an organization of volunteers. Nobody is paid to be a Toastmaster. There are maybe 30 people, probably more. It was 30 when I was a district director years ago, but there are not that many people on Toastmasters payroll who get a regular check for the work they do. Most of the people are giving up their time and being very generous in the organization. So we should be grateful to anybody who's willing to take the time to help one individual member to succeed. It's important that we realize that the mentor-mentee relationship doesn't last forever, and it shouldn't last forever. Over time, the mentee should develop their own confidence, their own skills, and they should feel that they can go on without having a mentor shepherding their path. Ideally, a mentor and mentee relationship just turns into a warm friendship, and it lasts throughout the Toastmasters career. Whom can you help learn new speaking or leadership skills? Who may be able to help you learn new speaking and leadership skills? A mentor-mentee relationship provides many opportunities, offers many challenges, and has many rewards. Experience them for yourself. Benefit from the skills of a mentor, then become a mentor and share those benefits with others. There we go. Now, again, I intend these sessions to be a conversation. So at this point, I would love to have you share your ideas, things that have worked for you, ask questions.
So, Ben, this is Ronak.
Yes,
So I wanted to share my personal experience about my mentor in our club. And every time, like one of the things that really caught my attention when you were giving this presentation was getting out of the comfort zone. And, you know, that is kind of a mentee responsibility, and the mentor is always there at the time, right, to kind of have you support during that time. So every time for me personally, that has helped a lot, because for the things that you have never done before, it is always that you need somebody's support there. So
That's
I
great.
just wanted to share that. Yeah.
So you feel that as a mentee, you have benefited from the program?
Definitely, yes. Personally, I have benefited a lot. So when an opportunity came up to volunteer, I had volunteered, and when I was not sure exactly, you know, how it would help me, or whether even I would be able to do it or not. You know, there are a lot of questions. But at that time, when I spoke to him, he encouraged me, and he always was there, you know, to support me. So that has really helped me grow in the organization and in general as a person. So
that's great. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I have personally done, like, is to give back, is to, you know, whoever comes to me for help, I have returned, you know, as much as I can as a mentor too. So, and that's the reason why I joined your call today, to understand about how I can, you know, contribute to others' success around me, you know, who are looking for similar, you know, growth in Toastmasters.
One of the nice things about Pathways is that as you start your, it's part of the second level of every path. You have to do a speech about mentoring. I particularly like that you have to give a speech almost exactly like the one you just gave, where you talk about not the experience of, I was a mentor and I helped somebody, but I was a mentee, and let me tell you how mentoring helped me. And so by ruminating on that, it helps people get into the correct mindset, because everything about Toastmasters has to do with service leadership. So we're not,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and so at
Yeah.
this point in your career, you're ready to be a mentor to anybody coming into the organization. I'm sure you feel that way, don't you?
Yeah. In fact, for some reason, when I started to take on some roles out of my comfort zone, people in my club, like the members in my club, they came to me with questions and, how they feel about it and how they could, do that. So I have, consistently try to help, everyone in that sense. So that has been a big positive actually, overall for everybody. So I'm
Well,
looking forward for that too.
there are 6 words that will get you out of any situation where you feel
Mm,
unsure. I don't know. Let's find out. So I've been trying to coach our
mm,
clubs to spend more of their money.
mm,
We have like $3,000 in the bank for one of the clubs. That's way too much money. We can't spend it because there are limitations to what you're allowed to spend money on. So
mm,
I have been cautioning them that we can't pay for people to go to conferences, because that's helping an
mm.
individual instead of doing something for the entire club. But I sent my question to Toastmasters International just today. I got the answer. No, that's great. They can definitely do that. So since I
Mm,
said, I don't know, let's
mm,
find out, I was completely wrong
mhm.
about that. Got the correct answer, and now I can give good guidance to the club.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
yeah.
the great thing about people asking questions and you go out and find the answer, now both of you know out there.
That's true.
Yeah. So if
Mhm,
they didn't ask the question, you would never have the chance to gain that knowledge. So you don't ever have to feel like you
mhm.
have to know everything, but
Definitely. Yeah. Mhm.
you want to be sure that you're not giving bad information. And so that's why I
Sure. Yeah.
contact Toastmasters International about once a month.
Mhm,
So what do you think are
mhm.
your greatest strengths that you would be able to help somebody with?
So support and motivation, right? Like I kind of I'm very friendly in the sense that I don't expect anything in return or any such thing, but I do get um I do get excited to help others, right? In a way, so I try to understand and try to figure out, um, like having a friendly conversation about stuff, and like what you were saying earlier, let's figure it out together as a team. So working in a team is one of my strengths. That way. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So as guests come to your club, are you one of the
Hmm.
people that makes a point of greeting them as they come in?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's
in fact, we are going to open house tomorrow. Actually, I'm excited about that. Meeting new people and having them go through the things that I was really scared of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
So
great feeling.
are you a club officer?
Yes, I am a VP of Education, and
Oh,
recently joined area director role too. So
oh, okay. Oh, fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah,
mhm.
I don't know if you were there. I talked at the first Decem this year about how to learn to be an area director. You just go in and you.
I got there. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, how could I be an area director? I have no experience. Well, there is no experience for being an area director. You can't learn anything outside, right?
yeah. Sure. Yeah, yeah. We just go and learn, and it's just experience multiplied. One club experience multiplied by 4 or 5 clubs now. So which is
Yeah.
great.
So
learn from more people around you. Yeah. Yeah.
you go visit a club, you see what they're doing well,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
steal all that information. You go to the next club, you steal all
Exactly.
their things they do well. But
Yeah.
you happen to see something that they could do better, that they were doing better in
Exactly.
another club. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. It is taking the best and sharing with everyone. Yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah.
it's really the best kept secret in Toastmasters. And
Yeah.
can you acknowledge that the fun of Toastmasters begins once you get outside your individual club?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So are you encouraging the clubs in your area to have a strong mentoring program?
One of the things I wanted to encourage more often is to have them go to the conference events and participate in the training programs and things like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that they can see the outside of the club environment, right? They can meet other club members and how they have grown and what opportunities are there for them, right? So that is one of the things that I was trying to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. You know, any
Mm-hmm.
organization, there's the 110-100 rule. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've got 100 people in the organization, 10 of them are really active and one person runs the whole thing. In a district our size, you've got 3,000 members. 300 of them actively participate and go to conferences and things along that line. That's about what we would expect to see. And then about 30 people run everything in the district. So even though we have more area directors than that, some of them are more active than others. And some people who aren't
Mm-hmm.
current district officers, past district officers,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see them all the time showing up,
Mm-hmm.
helping out, and doing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's
So we
true.
want
Yeah.
everybody to
Mm-hmm.
be at least one of the 300, but ideally, as many people as possible are going to move into that 30 role, the 30 people that are the
Mm-hmm.
real.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
It's amazing how much value they provide to the entire organization. Yeah.
yeah. If this were selling soap or some kind of pyramid scheme, I would feel
Mm-hmm.
terrible about myself trying to push people to become Toastmasters. But this organization changes every individual's life for the better as they come in if they just work
Sure.
the program.
Yeah.
So I
Mm.
only feel good about telling people to join Toastmasters.
Definitely. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, is there any other wisdom you can share?
I learned a lot from you today. So so I was thinking about how things would not work between a mentor and a mentee, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes it might be like, oh, there is a course somewhere outside, or oh, this is easy, I can do it. And so there are some assumptions that some people can make, for that part, which we might not know, or the mentors might not know exactly, like, I mean, the background about it. So I was thinking about any blind spots that mentors can get into, which could which could not be a good thing for the relationship between mentor and mentee, right? So,
Now, one thing I always have to be careful of this as well, but you want to be sure that you're not doing, do as I say, not as I do.
yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people expressing frustration. I told the mentee to do this. I told them that they have to practice
No,
speech
yeah.
10 times, and they didn't do it. Well, is the mentor doing that exact same thing? Something that surprises me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just in fact won a area contest in District 101, humorous contest, and I could.
Nice.
Well, yeah, that's why I wasn't here last week. Actually, is because I was in that contest, which was wonderful. But what I noticed about the other speakers is that they didn't work as hard on their speeches as I did. Now, I'm a DTM. I've been in contests before. I've placed highly, but and you would think, oh well, he's so experienced, he doesn't have to work hard on his speeches. No, somebody coming into the organization would be working twice as hard as I'm doing it, and instead, I'm the one who rehearses 10 times before I go to my club. And the reason is, in my growth, I'm not trying to be good enough to speak at the back of a Denny's. I want to be ready to do my TED Talk. And if you're ready for that speaking opportunity, you've got to prepare for it all the time. You're not going to show up one day and suddenly be able to be a TED speaker. And so
that's a great point, actually. Yeah.
Getting people to practice enough. It's hard to tell them you must practice more. It's much easier to show them, look what happens when you practice the speech over and over again. This is why I'm able to deliver my speech as quickly as I do. Yeah. So if you're working the program as the Vice President of Education, and you're completing those paths, and you're getting your flags on your lapel pin, doing all those things, then people see that all the time. They say, Ronick, he is burning up. He is doing a fantastic job. I'm also Vice President of Education right now. And every time every time I complete a speech, I have my next speech ready. So if there's an empty spot or somebody backs out, I can jump in, and the clubs are they're able to see me advance rather quickly. So quickly that my San Jose club today told me that I can't be back up next week because I've done it 2 weeks in a row.
Nice.
So what level are you in Pathways?
I'm level 2, actually. What I'm doing is each level has 10 different videos and projects, right? I kind of take each and every course, even though they're optional, right? I wanted to do it very slowly, but make sure, I practice more. So.
Well, it sounds like you're not working slowly, really. You're advancing through the pathway slower, perhaps, but you're doing lots of work.
Yeah, that's the idea. So my kind of goal was to get more in depth and in detail, style, because I'm an engineer by profession. So it's kind of a good or a bad habit.
It's good that you recognize that it's good and bad. You can err on the side of working so hard on basic skills that you never give yourself the freedom to move on to more advanced skills. But I don't think that's actually what I'm describing here.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I know that a couple of times, certainly when I did my getting comfortable with visual aids the first time out of the CC manual, I thought I did okay, but I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And so I immediately repeated that exercise. I didn't have to. I didn't get credit for it. But by repeating the exercise, I felt better about the work that I had done.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the approach I'm taking. So hopefully I'll get through that path. I'm taking innovative planning pathway. So yeah.
That's great. Well, I'm happy to hear everybody's jumping into the Pathways program, because I was skeptical, as many people are. And like I say, I love my manuals. I'm still working through my 8th CC manual. but I see the changes they've made in pathways are problems that they were talking about in 2010, 2011 at the international level, changes that they hope to make. It's taken this long to do it and do it well. And there are still bumps with the Pathways program, but I really appreciate the thought that's gone into it, and I have nothing but high hopes for Pathways for a new generation of Toastmasters.
For sure. I think this is going to be the platform, right, for the future. So.
Absolutely. Well, Ronak, thank you so much for dialing in. You made this a success. So,
thank you. Thank you, Dennis, for having this session. I know it was a less audience participation and less people were able to join because of the power thing, but it was great. Thank you again.
Well, you know what's funny about it is it's unfortunate that we don't get more than a couple of people, but the number of views afterward rising every week. And so the questions that you ask, the observations you made are going to be helping out everybody else who watches this presentation. So I can't thank you enough for jumping in with me.